gracious. Good afternoon, everybody. Jann Arden here. I am back in the land of Canada. Yes, I am. You guys are looking perplexed. I can call it whatever I want. Yes, I am back from Canada. The girls are in very frosty Ontario in their respective homes. No, Sarah, you're not. Where are you?
She's in Ontario, but she's not in her home.
I'm in a frostier place than usual. I'm in Wyerton, Ontario, and we are recording this on Groundhog Day. I saw the festivities this morning. I'll tell you guys about it after.
Okay. And Caitlin, you are in your respective home?
I am in my respective home. You can see by the brick wall behind me. I'm at home. It is frigid here. I'm really jealous, Sarah, that you got to see Wyerton Willie in the flesh or in the fur, as it were. Because that's something I feel like in my past life in radio, every time it was Groundhog Day, people were like obsessed with following this story.
Have you heard of Wyerton Willie, Jan?
No. I know. Okay. Well, listen, I don't. One of my favorite movies of all time is Bill Murray and Andie MacDowell in Groundhog Day. Yeah. It's just a classic. If it comes on, no matter where it is, halfway through, all the way almost to the end, I sit and I watch it.
70th anniversary of them doing this entire festival in this little small town. They had hockey games. They had face painting for the kids, stuffed animals. Everyone was getting little groundhog stuffed animals. It was such a thing. And they chant like, "Wake up, Willie," like a full morning of things. We woke up at the crack of dawn. There were fireworks right in front of Dan's place here. That's so crazy.
Funny.
You got to wonder who started that. I'm sure it's on the World Wide Web, but it's an interesting concept to, if a groundhog sees his shadow or if he doesn't see a shadow. So it's all, of course, ladies and gentlemen, contingent on the angle of the sun and, and where the groundhog appears. And
I actually looked up the history. It was like it started because one man was waiting for a buddy to get there. And they made a joke about them waiting to hear about the weather prediction, and it stuck. This guy, Mac McKenzie, local resident, 1956. Now you know.
I just like that Canada has our own Punxsutawney Phil.
Yeah.
Like, good for us.
Very good for us. We have a lot of our own stuff here.
Hell
People aren't aware. Like, we invented basketball, for God's sakes. Basketball. And
Does
people try and
Calgary have one?
I'm not aware. I mean, I know the Calgary Stampede is sort of synonymous with this area as far as
Balzac Billy.
Stop. Can you spell that for me, please?
Balzac, Balzac Billy.
Okay.
And he's about 15 to 20 minutes from downtown Calgary in Balzac, Alberta.
Okay. And in Nova Scotia, it's in Nova Scotia, it's Shubenacadie Sam. So,
Jan's like, guys, this is not it's not the exciting things I wanted to talk about on the podcast today.
I you know what? It's just exactly what we need. We are once again in the middle of a shitstorm of, bad news, the Epstein files, Trump being an asshole, things just getting more complicated. ICE is doing its fuckery, all through the United States. And there's just a lot of lying going on. People are feeling pressured. Listen, I just came back from Iceland, as you know, and they are freaked out there. There's a lot of anxiety in Iceland and Greenland, and it breaks my heart. This is a country that has 400,000 people max in Iceland. They are a water, thermal-loving, nature-loving people that, eat a lot of fish and raise sheep and have an amazing culture, a language that's 1,000 years old, and now they're dealing with this shit show. And I just know from like Thordis's mom and dad are in their, mid 70s, and they are not doing great with what's going on. So groundhogs, bring it on. I am so up to talking about anything trivial. And it's interesting. Our guests today, we are going to be welcoming Kate Robson, and she is a psychotherapist and NICU family support specialist and the author of a beautiful brand new book called Something to Hold On To. And don't we just need that right now? And joining Kate is a friend of mine, actually. We became friends in 2025. The internet is a magical thing, and sometimes people connect that way. I have known of Sarah Polley for many, many years. Of course, Road to Avonlea, put her on the map, and fast forward, Sarah Polley is someone who won an Academy Award.
For women talking.
Yeah, for women talking. And anyway, I could go on about both of these women, but they're both with us here today. Sarah Polley wrote an amazing introduction to Kate's book, and we are just thrilled to be able to have the opportunity to talk to them. They're going to be in the second half of the show.
I feel like I just have had a chance to go through this book fairly recently, and I think about all the visualization exercises she includes, and a lot of it is like CBT therapy, and I'm like, this is very useful, obviously, when we're in like the winter months and everyone's feeling a little bit more blue in Canada. But man, if you're overwhelmed by the news cycle, the constant news cycle slog that we're stuck in, it's a nice way to give yourself a little mental break. And it's practical. It's also really short. Like it's really easy to read. It's like a mental health handbook more than anything else.
Yeah.
Oh.
And for those of you who don't know what NICU is, because there's a lot of acronyms out there, it is a neonatal intensive care unit. So it's for preemies mostly. And Thordis had preemie twins. So she had tiny little peanut people that were like the size of a pop can. Anyway, right out of the bag, we're looking forward to having that conversation. So please stick around for that. But right now, Caitlin, we're going to throw it over to you. What are you guys up to this week? Like, what's been going on and what's good and bad in your worlds?
Well, I was in Collingwood again for the weekend. Collingwood is my
Ooh.
new Eastern Townships, apparently. So we were there for the weekend, and it was such a nice break because Will stayed behind this weekend, and so it was just a mom and dad with friends trip, and it was really, really nice to kind of like get out and just sort of have some time with pals and have some lulls and like go check out some of the restaurants and breweries and everything that they have there. So it was very, very enjoyable. I will say, interesting thing that I don't want to say like derailed the weekend. It didn't, but I was surprised at how much it came up and how much time this took up when it was announced that Katherine O'Hara had passed.
Yes.
That was like it happened while I was out having a meal. I think that it came through on a bunch of different like people's phones that I was with, and everyone collectively was like, oh, and you could look around the restaurant as everyone kind of like started having that same conversation at a different time. And it was all through my group chats, and man, she was beloved. Like, I mean, we knew that, but I think to see so many people talk about how much her work touched their life and people who had worked with her firsthand, including Sarah Polley, who will be on the show later with us. They worked together in The Studio, the most recent season of The Studio. Of course, that's Seth Rogen's project, and they were great together. And she shared a really wonderful tribute to Katherine O'Hara as well.
Oh, that happened like right while we were producing last week's show. And I was sitting there like, should I call Jann and let her rant and put it in last week's show? Because I know that you were pretty upset about it too.
Yeah, it's hard when you lose somebody when they're young like that. Like she was 71 years old. And I don't think we had sort of a lead up to any kind of an illness. It wasn't like, the last 18 months we've been watching her go through cancer treatments or that she made any kind of health announcements. I think from what I have sort of gleaned from different news outlets, and I think it's legitimate, is that she had a heart episode, something to do with her cardiovascular. And that's all I've heard. And please don't, I have no confirmation on that. I've just read it in different, that she had phoned an ambulance, that she was still, able to call an ambulance. And I think that she was there with her partner. And just horrible. So I think when it's shocking like that, interesting. I was able to go on CBC last night with Ian Hannah-Mansing, and sadly, I just did this with Jane Goodall. 2.5 months ago.
You're the phone a friend.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm very pleased to be able to speak just collectively on behalf of millions of Canadians. I met Katherine twice under really kind of funny circumstances. 2003, I was at the giant SARS Rolling Stones concert, and I was asked to sing the national anthem. And I just thought, I can't think of a worse time to sing the national anthem. But backstage, Mary Margaret O'Hara, her sister, who's a gifted, a critically acclaimed singer-songwriter. She's brilliant. Miss America is a record that I just played to the ends of time when it first came out. And of course, Katherine O'Hara was there, and Katherine had a cowboy hat on, and she and her sister came lollygagging up to me and asked if we could sing the national anthem together. And so a really random moment of me singing O Canada with Mary Margaret and Catherine O'Hara. And my manager at the time, Nikki Shibo, happened to snap this picture. She sent it to me afterwards. So there was that moment. And then fast forward to the CSA Awards, I just happened to be kind of standing in proximity to Catherine O'Hara. We had certainly nodded and said hello, hey, and she was getting her picture taken with someone, and she tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Can you hold my drink?" And which I'm like, God, I'll hold anything you want. I'll hold all your worries and troubles if you want me to. And so I held her drink, and then she snapped the picture and forgot about her drink. So I just stood there for quite some time with the drink. And Katherine never came back for it. So I spoke to that a little bit with Ian and just echoed the sentiments of, like I said, millions of Canadians who grew up with SCTV. Oh, my shit in hell. Did I laugh at that woman and her Brooke Shields impressions, her
Home Alone.
Catherine O'Hara. Of course, yeah, Home Alone and Beetlejuice and these huge movies. And like you said, The Studio recently. And she was in The Last of Us. She's been, doing some serious roles. And anyway, I think that's, like you said, bummed out.
It was really shocking because she still felt very top of her game because of the runaway success of Schitt's Creek and because that was rumored to be coming back in some way, shape, or form. And then the success of The Studio. And I just think people were so surprised. And the words of just professional and personal adoration from everyone who had worked with her. I'm not ashamed to admit that Macaulay Culkin's post fully made me sob because he addressed her as "Hey Mama" or Mama simply, I think, at the beginning of his post about her, because obviously she played his mom in Home Alone. And I also thought about the nature of her career being that, you're someone who's in a lot of kind of cozy, rewatchable content. And if you are an actress who's in something like Home Alone, a movie that generation after generation watches every single year, multiple times in a row, maybe at Christmas, this is such a loss. And I was thinking about how Christmas 2026 will feel when Home Alone comes on, especially when you see Catherine O'Hara share a screen with John Candy. I saw someone else post that the two of them are probably up in heaven in the back of a rental truck playing polka. And it was really just it's such a special place to hold in everyone's heart. And it's funny because it also made me wonder, yes, of course, the really dramatic award-winning actors of the world, they are so talented and so established. But I don't know that you necessarily rewatch dramas in the same way that you rewatch cozy comfort viewing like Schitt's Creek or like Home Alone or like so many of the things she was in. I mean, her David Guest work when she was in A Mighty Wind and Best in Show, like the ability to rewatch those things over and over again really means that this person becomes timeless. And I feel like that is sort of what Catherine O'Hara had.
Talk about legacy too, right? Like she is one of those Canadian women who puts Canadian entertainment on the map, right? And has for so many years.
Yeah.
Well, and I love that there's just this consensus right across the board of how kind she was, how supportive she was, how great she was to work with. And I'll tell you what, that is a real litmus test to how people make their way through the world. There's a lot of people, and I'll just use Ellen DeGeneres as an example of, someone who legitimately fell from grace because of the hundreds and hundreds of negative comments that they got, that this woman was not at all of what she appeared to be. So I'm just saying, you don't get away with that kind of behavior. And Katherine, I haven't heard one disparaging story ever, never, ever about her. And that is something to be so proud of, that she supported so many people. But yeah, it's a loss for Canada, but wow, she will be very, very remembered 1,000 years from now. I mean that. People are going to be watching her doing Brooke Shields, It just so funny. It's so funny. Just it makes me smile thinking about the shit that she got up to. SCTV in particular, Lola Hetherington. And all the singing she did, like for someone that said she was not a singer, she's got a lot of stuff on Spotify. Go look. She's got so much singing stuff. I think she sang in all those Christopher Guest films. She was singing.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, and she was also a really good physical comedian too. Like I remember in in Best in Show, there's a really amazing scene that was making the rounds on social all weekend where she falls over, like she trips and falls over multiple times, and like her physical comedy was just as good as her delivery. Her impressions were as good as her sort of off the cuff. Like I was also watching clips of her at awards shows where she would just be presenting a category, and she was just hilarious and a scene stealer even then. So yeah, I'm quite sad about this one. I really feel for her family too. 71 is like way too young, in my opinion.
Well, guys, I can cheer you up. I have some good news if you want.
Yes.
Okay.
Good news
lay it
up.
on me.
Well, it's actually Caitlin brought this to us. I can't take credit for it. But our book club is going to be a hit this year. You want to know why? I'm throwing at you, Caitlin.
Because 2026 is being dubbed the year of hobbies.
And the top hobby on the list is?
The top hobby is reading. The number one thing people say they want to get into more is reading. And I think it's something you hear people say a lot, and they want to do it because they know how good it makes them feel. And I think also we're living in an increasingly digital world, and things that are analog people are looking for them. And so I think just the feeling of picking up a book, people know in their scroll addicted heart that they would be well advised to pick up a book.
I love reading.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Full stop. I absolutely love reading. And I got a whole bunch of books at Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Nigel gave me a bunch of history stuff and, mudlarking. I got some mudlarking books and learning about English history through the eyes of
is
mudlarkers.
mudlarking on this list?
It's
mudlarking
shockingly, Sarah, it didn't make the list, but it should have.
Okay, well, it should have made the list because mudlarking, for those of you who really want to know, it's when the tide goes out anywhere, like in the Thames, I will say that, like that huge, beautiful river that runs through London Bridge, the tide goes out, you have to get a permit that are very difficult to get.
Mm-hmm.
And when the tide goes out, you can go in there with your sticks and your rubber boots and you can scrape around and you find all kinds of shit. You find like stuff from fucking 500 years ago, coins, and you'd think it's all gone now because people have been doing this for 200 years along those banks. But there's stuff that gets washed in all the time and more. Anyway, mudlarking should be on that list. Okay, back to you, Caitlin.
A couple other things on the list.
One was learning a new language, which I really enjoy. And I know so many people who've tried out Duolingo, so this tracks. I'm going to need to do this because Will has been enrolled in French immersion for JK. And so I feel as though he will quickly surpass my French abilities. So I'm going to have to brush up on my French. Another one that I really liked is crocheting. I've seen a lot of people talk about crocheting, and then there's also knitting. Knitting, because that's a category that's been popping up on Instagram and TikTok, because maybe it's because we're in a financial bind or people just want to relax, but they are sharing patterns they've made to design these really beautiful blankets and sweaters and scarves, and they've gotten quite good at it. And then you have these beautiful handmade scarves and sweaters that you can keep for yourself or give to family. And I like this idea. My dad's fiance is a crocheter, and she crochets stuffed animals, but she also crochets, just about everything under the sun. And she really likes it. I think it's quite relaxing for her. And it's nice to have a hobby that results in something physically being made too.
You know, all these other things on the list, there's like a theme here. It's like stuff you would find at a cottage, like card games, board games. Like, was puzzles on there? I feel like
jigsaw puzzles was on here. Drawing, crosswords.
You know what I played this weekend with Dan's kids for the first time in I don't know how many years? Go Fish. I played Go Fish. It was super fun.
Love a Go Fish moment.
I love Go Fish. Well, hobbies can be anything. I think if you want to learn how to make really good matcha tea, a friend of mine is actually taking it's a 3-week night class because she wants to have the brush with the
whisking
Japanese, all the tea making. And I think it's like $80 at a community college or something. And she's really excited about it. So that would be a hobby. I don't think it would make the list, but I love reading. I think bird watching is definitely a hobby. I love feeding the birds and bird watching is growing exponentially with young people. Yeah. They are out there marking shit off their list, and they have like 200 birds that they want to identify in Massachusetts or something, and they're out there like, I found the speckled warbler, and it's a big deal. They have all these Reddit conversations about who's finding what birds where, and I'm telling you, this is 18-year-old people.
Yeah, my friend's husband has been
Oh.
into bird watching for years, and he's a bit of an outdoorsy guy, so he already loves camping and being outside. And then he picked up bird watching, and he's on all these bird watching Facebook groups and like members only groups in Toronto. So if somebody in this group sees a rare bird in High Park or a crazy owl or a hawk or whatever, they all tell each other, put up an alert, and my friend will say, oh, I have to go with my husband right now. We're going to go try to hunt down this owl in High Park. And it's really cute because I also think it helps you kind of stay grounded a little bit in nature and not just like pulled into the internet of it all the time. You can kind of appreciate just the beauty of seeing a really cool bird. It's so wholesome. I think it's great.
And bird song is at some frequency, depending on the bird, that regulates your immune system.
Mm-hmm.
So you are doing really good things for yourself. Like if you find yourself like completely out
I
of whack
love
by
that.
the end of every day, bird song really helps your whole body kind of reset itself.
I feel like
So
everything on that list would. If you think about how relaxing all those, like yoga, gardening, unless it's like 40 degrees.
Yeah.
But because then you're like, oh, the heart is going.
Yeah.
But like puzzles, right? Like all that. It's probably like lowering your cortisol. I would think.
It's all stuff that's designed to sort of like soothe your nervous system. I think it's
So
yeah.
We tell us what hobby you're picking up this year. Send us a voice note or something.
please do.
Yeah, or recommend a
there's-
hobby you already have. Like we might have missed your hobby if we missed it. If it wasn't mudlarking or ceremonial matcha, then tell us what you're doing.
Maybe we're going mudlarking after the thrift store. Just saying. Just saying.
Not no.
In the
bachelorette.
wedding, the bachelorette party. So if I recall, what I said was, we rent an RV,
Mm-hmm.
we make a weekend trip of it,
Mhm.
we get the thrifted outfits. I pick for you, you pick for Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
We get the outfits, and then do we go to a fancy restaurant? Is that what we're doing? We're doing something quite nice, or is it just like a diner? What are we doing?
Hey, are you the bride? You're the bride. You get
Yeah.
to tell us what you want to do.
Okay. Am I supposed to throw my own thing? Is that what's happening?
Well, I think I would go somewhere that has to be like at least at the same standard of dining out as, say, the Keg. Do you know what I mean?
Blackfoot Truck Stop,
So-
right here in Calgary.
All right.
Okay.
And
had
we have
me
a
at
place
truck
to
stop.
park the RV. We have a place to
Are
park
they
the RV.
vegan? Just checking. Are they vegan?
They always have like a soup that's like a tomato soup,
Okay.
and there's side salads. There's things that we could find.
There's stuff.
Okay.
You guys could go bonkers. You guys could probably have the club sandwiches and stuff like that.
Nice.
Although you guys don't eat a lot of meat either. I can't remember the last time you guys said you had a steak somewhere.
I actually had a
Yeah,
steak this
I
week.
do. I mean, I do eat meat, but yeah, especially since it was January. Jan used to make us do like the vegan challenge for January.
Veganuary.
Veganuary, thank you.
That's
Yes,
the one.
and I did eat a lot of tofu last month.
I still do. Like I was getting dinner set up for tonight, and I'm doing a vegan chickpea and sweet potato curry with some spinach. It's really, really good. And I
Cooking
do.
is on the list too.
Oh, cooking is on the list. I saw that. Cooking's great. Again, something that you actually pick up a hobby and you have something to show for it. So I do the occasional meat meal still, but I do try, for a variety of reasons, health and, saving money and all that stuff. I'll try to do a lot of like vegan kind of stews and soups. It's the perfect time of year for it. So maybe we'll stick with like the vegan options at the truck stop.
All right. Can we talk about age specific nightclubs?
I love this story. Have you guys ever seen have you ever heard of an age specific nightclub or bar before in your life?
No.
Well, I feel like I don't know. I have not been into a nightclub for quite some time. Is it not all ages? What happened? Are they now like targeting people like 40 to 60 or 60 to 90 or what's happening? What does this mean? What's going on out there?
I think some bars and nightclubs have always felt like they had a reputation within whatever city they were in for being for younger people or older people. Like there would be a vibe. There was a bar here in downtown Toronto that had like nights where they would have firemen coming and stuff. And people would refer to that as like a cougar bar, like a bar for like, older women to pick up younger guys. So I've heard about it, but I don't know that the bars have ever like intentionally done it. So now there is a bar that is going to be no one allowed over the age of 40. It's a bar in Tokyo. And so bouncers at the door are only allowing people in between the ages of 20 and 39. And so they said on any given night now, about 90% of patrons are in their 20s. So it's created this like younger club scene for them. So they don't want to exclude older guests, but they said they want to keep the vibe consistent. And that when older people come in, this I thought was mean. And I also felt like I could see this. Ageist. But they said when older patrons come in, noise complaints tend to go up. So narrowing the age range helps create a space where the regulars can relax and be as loud as they want.
Because the millennials are like, let's go.
And also because like I've encountered this in many places at restaurants too, where all of a sudden I've hit an age where I'm like, I can't even hear my friends talk. And then I'm like, you know what? I shouldn't be here.
God, like there was like a little band playing at a restaurant I went to with some girlfriends for dinner. And we were all sitting there for, honestly, 40 minutes being like, I can't hear you. Should we ask them to make the band stop? Like we were being such party poopers, but we see each other once every, 6 months. It's like, got to hear you.
Yeah. So I liked this idea and I thought I would want the same thing, only where no one can be under the age of 35. Because
I would feel better about that.
I would rather go to a place where I'll walk into bars or clubs sometimes on the rare occasion that I go out at night. And if I feel like everyone there is 25, I'm like, I got to go. This isn't for me. The playlist isn't going to be for me. We went to a place after my karaoke birthday this year that when we walked in, all of us were like, oh my God, we're way too old to be here. We have to get out. So I would just like to know where that equivalent older bar is that might play music I like at a reasonable volume.
And they make you go home at 9:30.
At least midnight.
Well, I don't usually complain about, I don't think I've ever gone anywhere and complained about the noise. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. There was a place called the Brass Ring back in the day. So anyone who's from Calgary, you'd remember this. The Brass Ring, I'd say, was from 50 to 75.
Okay.
It was synonymous with these older couples and they would go dancing and stuff. The Brass Ring.
That's
It
nice.
was pretty funny. And in my 20s, we would go in there just for a laugh with my girlfriends.
Yeah.
We would go in there and have like a quick drink and just look at all the old people. And now I'm the old person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so now I would have been the perfect age for the clientele at the Brass Ring. Please, if you'd like to sponsor us here at the show, feel free. Are you still going Brass Ring? Let us know. Send us a voicemail.
We can have the RV stop by at the end of the night.
Oh, God, yeah. We can go in with our thrifted outfits and have a Manhattan.
Good to know.
Well, listen, you guys, we have a big show ahead of us. This has been fun getting caught up. And before we do go and have our conversation with Kate and Sarah, just a real quick once around on the scroll, Caitlin, if you wouldn't mind, just to find out what the hell is going on out there in the world. The Grammys were this weekend. I'm curious to know what you've got for us this week. Here we go. Yes, we are.
We're going to have to get Jann to do voice like The Scroll with Caitlin Green type of. I think that might actually sound good. Okay, so the big thing you were right. You're bang on, Jann. It's the Grammys. So last night at this moment of recording was the Grammy Awards. And so in terms of the winners, the big winners were Kendrick Lamar. So he took home 5 awards last night and he's now the most decorated rapper in Grammy history with 27 trophies. Woo. That's pretty impressive stuff. The big story too, though, obviously you've probably seen tons of clips circulating online, was Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny became the first Spanish language artist to take home the top award of the night, Album of the Year. And he made explicit political statements, as did many other artists, against ICE at the awards. It was a very political awards show last night. Justin and Hailey Bieber were spotted wearing the ICE out pins. Billie Eilish and Best New Artist winner Olivia Dean both made mention of this, in one way or another during their acceptance speeches. So I thought that was nice to see them stand up kind of with everything that's happening. Sometimes awards shows can feel like they might intentionally be avoiding it for concerns over controversy. But I also think that with Trevor Noah acting as host, it was even easier to sort of get into it. And then the song Golden from the Netflix mega hit K-pop Demon Hunters, that became the first Grammy for the K-pop category. And then yesterday, I thought this was kind of an interesting little tidbit. Steven Spielberg became the 22nd entertainer to reach EGOT status, meaning he's now won an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony.
Oh, that's a new term.
You've never heard of EGOT before?
No.
Really?
Have you?
Yeah.
Jen?
Have you, Jen?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
sorry. I've been living under a rock.
Whoopi Goldberg is an EGOTer.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some great ones out there. What did he do? Did he have a soundtrack? Tell me what the Grammy was for.
Yeah, so he won for like best musical film, which was a documentary about his longtime collaborator John Williams and all the music that John Williams has done over the course of his career and for his films. And the other thing that was funny is a lot of people were wondering like, what the heck does he have a Tony Award for? And he was an investor producer of a musical in 2019 that won Best Musical at the Tonys called A Strange Loop. So anyways, now he's got his EGOT, which feels like appropriate. Like if anyone's going to have an EGOT, why not Steven Spielberg of all people? And then Justin Bieber. So Justin Bieber's live performance, I think, probably was the performance of the night for me. And I think a lot of people were just absolutely transfixed by his vocals. He also went out in his underwear, and it was a very stripped down, like MTV Unplugged style performance. He went out in a pair of like bedazzled silk boxers and just socks, and that's it. There's no backup dancers, there's no lights, there's no nothing. He's on stage with a guitar, and he plays the guitar when he comes on stage, and then sets it as a loop, and then that loop just plays throughout his performance in the background. And he's so good. I just thought to myself, this is a kid who has been chewed up and spat out by the music industry and by fame and everything else so many times. And to have him just up there in his underwear with a very stripped down performance, literally and figuratively, I was really kind of like happy for him. And I thought this is going to be a great precursor to his Coachella headliner. Did you guys see that? Did you see his performance?
No, it was unbelievable. Very raw and very emotional. And the audience was transfixed. And you're right. Less is more. Like he didn't need anything.
No. His voice.
And plus he was dealing with all the P. Diddy stuff, last year, the year before that, 2024. And he really is a guy that is still standing after a lot of mental health issues and watching, the whole world watched him grow up. Pretty hard to do stuff when the whole world is watching what you're doing. But I've just seen clips today. I'm So Messy, the song I'm So Messy.
Lola Young.
It was really great to see her win and just get up there and be so like genuinely shocked by winning that award.
And I thought Olivia Dean, she won Best New Artist. I thought, she's such a breath of fresh air, and I love her album. And her acceptance speech was great because she talks about being the granddaughter of immigrants and how she feels like that bravery should be celebrated versus targeted, which was really cool. And did you guys see Chapel Roan's outfit?
No. What was she wearing? This is why we have you here, Caitlin.
Tell us.
Yeah.
So topless was also a bit of a theme of the night. Justin Bieber debuting a new back tattoo of his wife, Hailey Bieber, topless while he was on stage. And then Chapel Roan walked the red carpet completely topless. Her gown draped from her nipple rings.
Oh, wow.
So she has, now the way I think she got away with this on the carpet is that it looked almost like the makeup she had put on her chest made it look more kind of like a breastplate. So there's no visible color difference around where her nipples would be. That's completely like whited out. But she has nipple rings and then sort of this ethereal draping gown that kind of comes off of them. Now at certain points, she has like a head wrap that she can like hang over like a little hood. But when that comes off, it is literally just a gown that starts at her nipple rings. And I just saw this the whole time and thought, what if someone steps on your train? What if there is a snag? Like, what are we? This seems like a very high risk outfit for this night.
Oh, gosh, that just shot through me.
So
pointing north.
Yep.
Well, I love it when people can use their bodies. Women in particular can use their bodies and kind of make those statements of, this is mine. I can do with it what I want. And, if Justin Bieber can stand out there in his underpants and be considered, sexy and hunky and risque and brave and all those things, I think women should be afforded that same amount of bravado and that same amount of other women cheering them on. So it's an entertainment show. You're supposed to go there and provoke and shock and steal those headlines. I mean, anyone knows that these days you have to be a shameless self-promoter to be in the music industry or any kind of industry in the arts. You have to be able to promote yourself in outlandish ways. People often make comparisons to the 60s and 70s when you had someone like the Mamas and Papas or Joni Mitchell. It would be unimaginable to think of Joni Mitchell going down a red carpet with a dress hanging off of her nipples.
Oh my God.
But the times, they are a-changing.
And watch for Jann's next tour. She's stepping it up.
Just saying. Buckle up.
I think I'll have to hold my nipples up. I'll take the nipples and pull them back the other way. That's what I'll be doing.
Load-bearing nipple piercings?
Yeah, just something will have to be a counterweight going down my back just to hold them upright. But
Okay,
that's
well,
fine.
On that note, that's all for the scroll. And we've scrolled out.
We've scrolled out. We are going to take a quick break right now. Don't go away. We're going to be right back with Kate Robson and Sarah Polley talking about her brand new book, which is called Something to Hold On To. Don't go away. We'll be right back after these short messages from our sponsors. Well, welcome back. What a show we have for you today. As promised, we are going to be talking now with Kate Robson, an author, a psychotherapist. She worked in NICU, a family support specialist for a long, long time. And now she's the author of a brand new book called Something to Hold On To. And it's the kind of book you reach for when life feels overwhelming, and we can all relate to that these days. It offers gentle guidance, so many practical tools and exercises, as well as thoughtful prompts to help better understand ourselves and navigate really difficult moments with a lot more care and attention. And Kate Robson brings with her today her long time friend, 20-year plus friendship with Sarah Polley. And in case you have been living under a rock, Sarah Polley is a creative powerhouse. She's an Oscar-winning screenwriter and director, an actor, and a best-selling author. And her introduction is deeply personal. And she sets such an amazing, powerful tone for this book. So without any further ado, welcome Kate and Sarah.
Oh my goodness, I'm so happy to be here. It's a thrill.
I could go on and on. Like I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff on here. How does it feel, Kate, to have this book done?
Wonderful. It's wonderful because I've been working on it for so long, and I finally got brave enough to show it to somebody, and then they liked it and it became a book, and now other people are reacting to it, and that feels really wonderful. I was hoping that it would have the impact that it seems to be having, and to see that coming true is a delight, and I feel very grateful and very lucky.
What pushed you to the edge of being an author of this book? There must have been something that happened that just went, you know what, I'm going to write this down. Is it because you were just giving life advice to so many people and so many friends that you saw kind of a trend happening with people that had a difficult time asking for help? Like what pushed you into the pages, so to speak?
Oh, I love that question. Pushed you into the pages. That's amazing. I love books. You know, books were some of my first friends. And so the idea of writing a book is always something that I've held as maybe someday I could do that. And then as I worked in the NICU supporting families and in my career as a psychotherapist, these patterns kept showing up that we would very collaboratively, very creatively working with clients or working with families, we would come up with these images and these metaphors, and I could just see how they would help. They would help people make sense of what it was that they were experiencing. And so I just kind of started noting them and writing them down. And this is one of the reasons I'm so glad Sarah's here today, because it was in conversation with her and another dear friend named Jack, where I finally got brave enough, because of the safety of that friendship, I got brave enough to say out loud, I have an idea and I think I might want to write about it. And I'm so glad I took that chance. I mean, it wasn't that much of a risk because you can't imagine two more supportive people. But it was that moment that led to the book, that led to everything, right? And it's so amazing what can happen in the context of a trusted relationship.
And the irony is you're writing a book about, kind of overcoming or getting through these tender moments in life. And yet it is a tender moment for you to embark on writing it. So it's kind of like this circular thing that none of us are exempt from feeling not so much pressure, but just very tender about having an idea and how people are going to embrace that. And none of us want to be rejected.
Absolutely.
So it's funny, writing a book about that helps people deal with that. Excuse me. And yet you are facing all of those feelings head on.
Yeah. Well, in that, growing up in rural Ontario, there was a really strong kind of, who do you think you are kind of idea sometimes. Like, don't try and stick out. The biggest insult was, you think you're so big, So the idea of like, well, who am I? Who am I to write a book? Who am I to try to do this? It felt really monumental. And then I realized a book is a conversation, and I have conversations all the time. And it's not, I'm not trying to come in here with some sort of sledgehammer of expertise. I'm just trying to connect with people and have a particular type of conversation. And that I do feel I can do.
I want to talk to you about premature babies for a second.
Sure.
And the experiences that you came out of in the NICU. I mean, you're dealing with parents on the front line of grief and sorrow constantly. I don't know if you know a lot about Caitlin Green, but her and her husband Kyle went through like a catastrophic loss a few years ago, losing their son Sam. And Caitlin has gone into great detail, and I'm going to let you speak to that, Caitlin, just about how supportive the people around her were in those moments. But what have those preemies provided you with? And maybe, and I don't want to speak so much about the parents and their experiences, but the little preemies themselves, what they've taught you of these tiny humans. I mean, they're so fucking tenacious.
They are, my goodness. They're so small and so tough. And
there's the grams, they're 500, 600 grams.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah. My oldest, she's now 20 and she's amazing. She was 500 grams when she was born. And her sister,
My God.
yeah, teeny. And then her sister it was funny because when she was born, she was 3 pounds. And I was like, oh, she's so big. And the nurses were like, what? But for me, a 3-pound baby was a whopper,
Yeah.
But yeah, so something that in the unit where I used to work, they would have a quote from Dr. Seuss in the wall, and a person's a person no matter how small, right? And the idea was that we really wanted to treat these small people, they're human beings, right? And even if they can't, they can speak to us, they can speak to us in all kinds of ways, but we need to learn how to listen. But also their personalities are there right away, right? Both of my kids, I knew who they were within 15 minutes probably of them being born. So when you work with these people and you see that they are people and you see that they need love and touch and connection, it helps you understand a lot about them, and it also helps you understand a lot about what bigger people need, because you see, it's there from the very beginning.
Yeah. Caitlin, I want to throw it over to you because I really want you to tell Kate a little bit about your journey through that. It's such an amazing thing that you overcame and are still dealing with to this day. But
yeah, so Kate, then you would be well versed in all of this, not only from like your experience, but then like time in the NICU. We had such a great support system. So we had a full infant loss of our first son, but then I went on to have a subsequent pregnancy, and now we have a 3.5-year-old named Will. So, he's sort of the rainbow baby that everybody hopes for, but it's quite the journey along the way. And, like grief is not linear. It pops up all the time. And thankfully, we had a ton of therapy. I mean, an inordinate. My husband and I were in therapy. Like, that was our job, I think, for a moment in time.
Amazing.
Which was great. And like, I'm so happy we had the professionals we did. So I think I was, better prepared. My toolkit, so to speak, was a little bit heavier when we had our son. So my mental health professionals had already been like working with me on a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing in your book specifically. But it's something that I when I was in group therapy, there were couples and moms specifically who were like being inundated with this forced positive messaging, especially if they had a subsequent pregnancy or if they had twins and then they lost one twin. It was like they were always being given this like push towards positivity, which is really well intentioned, but not altogether helpful. So I think something that like I try to do, and something that I've been like asked a lot, because prior to being with Jann full time on the podcast, I was in morning radio on a radio station here in Toronto called Chum FM. And so my loss was very pregnant. My loss was very public. My subsequent pregnancy was very public. So I did have like a lot of people reach out to me, and they were constantly asking me for advice on how to speak to someone who was suffering with lots of issues around motherhood, whether that was loss or infertility. And I kind of like, now I'm so happy that I have your book, because I'm just going to refer them to this book, because it is a very, very useful and practical toolkit that doesn't, to me at least, feel overwhelming. And it really breaks down something that I found very helpful, which was visualization. And the metaphors you use in your book, some of them I was going through in CBT therapy, like imagining your thoughts that would pass through as cars, just stuff like that I felt like, as a visual thinker also myself, I really grabbed onto and felt like it was grounding for me in those moments. So I'm just, thank you for writing the book and for physically creating some something to hold on to for people when you're going through these moments. And there's so much grief in life. Like, it's not just because I, lost our son, but people have all kinds of loss. And there is no like yardstick for this. You can lose a job, you can go through a divorce, or you can lose a parent, whatever that looks like for you. So I just think this is a really handy book, and thank you for writing it. Did you find when you were, navigating being the mom of a premature child yourself, did you find any of these exercises helped you, or like, what was your experience with that? And then Sarah, I guess I would ask you the same thing, because you wrote the introduction, and it was a great personal introduction, saying that you had connected with Kate especially, and she was helpful to you when you were going through a hard time. So like, how did these metaphors and visualizations work for you both?
Well, I'll start by saying that when I was going through all of this with my children, that was long before I was a therapist, and I was white knuckling it, and I was terrified. And I think now I realize I was deeply anxious, and I didn't get help because I was coping. I was showing up. I was doing what needed to be done, and I didn't realize, oh, this is what's going on inside, because I hadn't yet learned that what was going on inside mattered. Right. And Caitlin, I do want to say, I'm so sorry.
Oh, thank you.
And I also want to say thank you for being so brave to share your story, because I know it helps people.
Yeah, it does. I think.
And thank you so much for just bringing that in about that kind of toxic positivity that can be so harmful. Because I think especially in the infant loss community, or people who are dealing with miscarriage or infertility, or, really difficult moments, our grief and our pain sometimes makes us feel like pariahs. People don't want to listen. They want us to, see the positive. And it's like, well, I'm trying. And also there is this grief. Also there is this really tough thing I'm dealing with. And can you love that too? Right. So I really appreciate you saying that.
Thank you.
Yes. I was going to just read a little clip from Sarah, what you wrote.
Sure.
In the intro, and it's the very last paragraph. Now, when I meet someone who is having a hard time, I am relieved to be able to hand them this book, which is akin to handing them 40 walks with Kate. This is, in my opinion, all we really need to survive. So, I mean, the intro is 3 pages, and it's so amazing, but that really made me smile. It's like, listen, I'm standing here in front of you, and I know you're having some trouble right now, but please take this book. Yes. Because I don't know how to help you. Really, you just need to walk with Kate 40 times. So,
well, and the truth is, I have had that thought so many times over the years, because, Kate's my best friend. And, when the shit hits the fan in my life, I go for a walk with Kate and things get better. And so many times in my life, when I've seen people really suffering, I've been like, I just wish Kate had the time to go for a walk with absolutely everyone, but I can't just offer up my friend. But when she wrote the book, I was like, oh, now I have this thing that feels the same as getting all this amazing time with Kate, who really is, the person I admire most in the world, and is the safest container and wisest spirit, and is not afraid of the pain and suffering in people's lives, and does know how to hold it and let it be, and not immediately jumping to make it better, although also some really, wise about bossy tips about how to make it better. And I do feel like what you were talking about, Caitlin, is the idea of having these images to hold on to. It's like the number of self-help books I've read, and I'm a junkie when it comes to self-help books, they can be amazing, and then they kind of drift away, and I can't remember what was so helpful while I was reading it. And with this, I just find like I will suddenly remember. I'll be in the middle of, a very difficult time and remember the idea of, okay, what's my string of lights? And the idea of the string of lights where you're creating these little events of tiny little joys and tiny little things to look forward to in your calendar, or the ladder where you just need to come down one rung of your stress. And I'll obviously let Kate describe those, because she does it a lot better than I would. But I just find it's really easy to grab onto those when you're overwhelmed or when you're stressed. It's very hard to remember complex thoughts about what might be helpful. But an image, I think we have access to even in the hardest moments. So that's what I find so extraordinary about this book. And it certainly shifted my life, because I do find when I'm overwhelmed, you can open to any chapter. You don't have to read it in a linear way. And it's so helpful.
And the last thing you want to do is have to go back and try and figure out what was helpful to you. I do like the idea of images. I think they're so important to have pictures in your mind. How do you feel about being just a writer in general? Like, was it intimidating to go in? Obviously, you sit down at your computer or whatever you're going to do, and you have to choose the words to say. And just in my small experience, it's so hard to sift through the massive amount of ideas that your brain is taking in. And I'm curious how you chose those images and how you were able to, is it things that just hit constantly with your conversations with people like Sarah, with other friends? Like, I would imagine that's an overwhelming task to distill it down.
Yeah. Well, that's absolutely what I did. I thought about, what's really resonating? When you float an image past somebody, what are they grabbing for? What's really, what seems to work? And I have, I'm very lucky. My sister's a writer and she writes historical fiction and she's wonderful. And so she helped me in terms of developing it as a practice, because sometimes you feel guilty about handing over some of your time to something that may or may not become a real thing, And so Jennifer Robson, hi, Jen. She was
Jen,
she was amazing, and Sarah, Sarah, you were so creative and on every level and a wonderful writer. And so it's, understanding that there is a pathway, right? And so if you give yourself the time, if you put your butt in the seat and honor the idea that you have with your time, something will happen. So I really tried to hold on to that as an idea to get myself started. And then to be honest, I hope I don't sound like a jerk saying this, it just happened, right? Because I talk about this every day with people I really care about, with clients and friends. So it was there. And it actually felt amazing to put it onto paper. To be honest, it felt really good.
Oh, absolutely. It's so gratifying to have that kind of information out in the world. I'm going to throw it over to Sarah Burke because what I do all the time in these podcasts is I hog all the questions. And so I want to make sure that Sarah has, an opportunity to talk to you because we've all got stuff that, we want to say. And that's all the time you have, Sarah Burke. I'm sorry, we're moving on.
I greatly admire, all of you for putting your grief on the table and talking about all this stuff outright. And I guess one question, just because, both Sarah and Kate, you're coming from different creative backgrounds. And I'm wondering, what can you find in common between the way you would make film and the way you would write a book and how those ideas sort of formulate before the project is complete?
One of the things that I was thinking of saying earlier when Kate was talking about the process of writing the book is I remember Callie Khoury, who wrote Thelma and Louise. I remember hearing her at a writer's workshop, and I think it was before I'd ever written a screenplay. It was before I wrote my first short film, and I kept trying and then giving up because I was like, it's crappy. I don't really know how to do this. It's stupid. It's embarrassing. And I remember her saying to all these young writers, the people you admire most feel as much like imposters as you do. They just do it anyway.
Yeah. And
that was a game changer for me of just it is, as Kate said, a practice, and you just keep doing it. And the most talented among us are not always the people who are out there doing stuff. It's so much about hard work. It's so much about resilience and being okay with looking at your terrible first draft and being ashamed of yourself and having the balls to keep going anyway. I think some of the most talented people I've ever known have never published anything because they're waiting for something to be perfect the first time out. Yeah. And that's just, it's just about the grind, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've got the worst songs in the world sitting on cassettes in my basement. And once in a while,
I have
Can we hear one
courage. Right now, please?
Yes. I will. I'm actually going to send you one. I promise that I will. I'll go grab a random cassette. I went to Value Village. I'm sorry that I'm even telling the story, but I didn't have a cassette deck. And this was years ago. And I went to Value Village and I bought a cassette deck. It said, yes, it does work. It was $5. And so I brought it home and I just took a cassette out of a box. There was really nothing marked on it. I couldn't read my fucking writing. I was probably hammered. And I put it in and I'm like, oh God, I didn't tune the guitar. It was something about Karen Carpenter dying from starvation, and
Yes.
I'm not kidding you, like
Yes.
trying to find rhymes for anorexia. I wish I
Yeah.
was lying, and it was this, and I listened to it and I wrote it in earnest. I thought, this is great. This is so
Oh, yes,
good.
you did.
And
Can I
it's
suggest
terrible.
that the end of this podcast, in the spirit of what we're talking about, please go out on, it doesn't have to be that song, but it has to be something terrible that you wrote, because it'll
Yes.
inspire all of your listeners
Send me the audio.
to do
Consider
their
it
terrible
done.
things and keep
Yeah.
at it. Thank you.
I will.
Thank you.
I will send it to you. Thank you for that beautiful suggestion.
It was a
But
directorial
you're
note.
right. Thank you. I think it is. It's difficult. And Kate, I would imagine that you read first drafts and kind of second guessed yourself and thought, no, because the message is here. My mom used to always say to me, she said, Jann, you don't have to be a great writer to tell a great story. And that always encouraged me to not worry about being academic. And I'm wondering if those kinds of thoughts ever crossed your mind from a psychiatric point of view, that you're telling these little vignettes and giving people these little rays of sunshine to put into their pockets, to stuff into their pockets so that they can get through a fucking another 10 minutes. And did you worry about the academic people?
Literary part of it. The
Yeah.
literary
Yeah.
part.
Yeah,
Well, just
100%. That
Okay.
idea of, is this good enough? What would my colleagues think of it? Is
Yes.
it clinical enough? And then I did realize that, I love those types of books. There are wonderful books out there that are very clinical and will talk about your amygdala and whatever else. And this was going to be something different. And I realized there's room for something different. It's okay that this is different, because I was writing a book that was for somebody very specific. It was for a version maybe of me when I was in my hardest moments. And I just, I needed something that I could open and I could use right away. It's for other people that I've met along the way who needed something that they could use right away. So, and it's okay for it to be that. One book can't be everything. So when I kind of unhooked from the idea that I had to be more clinical and I had to prove what I knew, it's not about me knowing anything, right? It's about, can I create something that will help somebody else feel heard and seen and safe? So, but those thoughts absolutely came up. And I want to say thanks again to Sarah, because you were so patient, because I feel like kind of like you were like maybe like the mother duck and I was the duckling wandering behind, because I'd be sort of like, hey, I wrote another thing. Would you look at it? And you're a very busy person. You were really gracious and kind about that. And without that, I don't know, you and my sister, these people who I really trusted enough to share this really vulnerable stuff with. And you were always so kind about it. So
It really was selfish. It just calmed me right down. It's like, it calmed me right the hell down. And it's, the audiobook, I highly recommend to people. And
great,
I heard
great
someone
idea.
recently
Yeah.
just say it's like as a way to wind down at the end of the day. And Kate, weirdly, sent me this like clip of what do you think of this clip of me doing the audiobook? And it was like, are you a professional audiobook reader? Like, do you have some weird special skill that you've never mentioned the last 20 years? But literally just it's the most soothing, calming thing. So there was nothing generous about it. It just was so regulating to be inside this book and inside these images and with your voice. It's amazing.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes, Sarah, go.
Okay, don't you find that there's a whole generation of people that are still so uncomfortable talking about this kind of stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think about my parents, and if I need to have a discussion about something, it's like so uncomfortable. It'll probably take 3 weeks before we can come around to the conversation. I'm just like, please, Dad, please just come and talk to me. Sit beside me on the couch for a minute. It's not because they don't want to, but it's like they just have never been taught to sit with it, it almost feels like. And I just wonder, how would you suggest someone like digging into a book like this who kind of stays away from talking about mental health or anything like that to begin with?
Well, it's been interesting because I have shared it with some friends of mine who are of that generation. And the feedback has been, it melts my heart in a way. Because I talk about that in the book, that my mom, who was amazing, she was a fantastic mom. I loved her so much. And she did have that kind of buck up and move on mentality, like don't waste time talking about feelings. And I understand that, for her, that was sort of necessary because she had a lot to do and a lot of people were trying to get in her way. And so that's how she, at that time in history and that time in her life, that's kind of how she had to be. So I have a lot of respect for that. And then I also just have this tenderness. I just really want them to know that what you think and feel is actually really important. You know, all of that complicated stuff inside is beautiful. And so what I found is when you make space for people, and it is a little bit like you're kind of coaxing somebody, like, here's a treat, kitty, come on out. When they do have those conversations, they're incredible. And one thing that I find, this is more with, I would say, friends as opposed to clients, but something that really helps is doing something where you're not looking at each other. You know, people talk about this with teenagers. They get in a car and drive, and that's when they're going to talk. And I think it helps with other people who aren't used to talking about their feelings. So go on a walk, get in a car, go on a drive. And that's when these amazing conversations can take place because they're not feeling that intensity of the attention, and it just opens up space. And it's really beautiful what comes out.
That is a great suggestion.
Yeah.
And so true. Like, it's hard to sit in kind of a quiet space across from someone and speak your truth.
Yeah.
And they're
There's
watching
something
the
about-
tear roll down.
Yeah. I don't look at people when I sing. I don't look at them. I don't make eye
interesting.
contact with anybody. I don't find it comfortable for myself. It's just amazing that you brought that up because I've never done it. I've been singing for, 50 years, but I don't do it. I find an exit sign. I find a place to point myself. Thanks for that. You kind of just let me off the hook there. I always thought there was kind of something wrong with me that I didn't do like a Zsa Zsa Gabor and sit on someone's lap and sing to them. I just can't do it. Caitlin, I want to swing over to you for another question.
Yeah, I think my other question too, and I'm just wondering if you guys have found this at least, is like, do you think that your female friendships in life specifically have been particularly like grounding and psychologically helpful for you? Because I feel like, and maybe it's because of the proximity we have to motherhood, whether that is like actually becoming a mother or being around women who've become mothers, or like the omnipresent, will you or won't you become one? Like all of that motherhood stuff, I think forces women to have a whole new dimension to their brain. And I think it makes them better at conveying feelings because we have no choice. So I just wonder, I feel like you guys have such a great friendship, but do you find that that's the case for both of you in your female friendships?
I mean, 100%.
Yeah. We talk about we talk about it all the time on the show where we're like, talk to your friends, like our female friendships become this like whole new, almost bigger relationship as you age, even than a romantic partner.
I remember someone recently said to me, a friend of mine who's in her 70s said, I think I'm different from you, but because I didn't have kids and never got married, for me, my female friendships are everything. And I was like, yeah, me too. Like, I don't think that getting married and having kids changes that. I mean, I think that that's like mental health for me is like, if I isolated myself and said I didn't have time for those friendships in any way, it would just be like being able to process all of what happens and also tracking each other's lives. Like, I love tracking, where Kate was, 13 years ago and where she is now. And, this idea that you have a witness who can go when you're like, I've never felt this before. And someone goes, actually, you did. It was 6 years ago in June. And you said basically the same thing about that person. So we can see a pattern here. And like those moments with female friends, I think that witnessing of each other's lives and also having sometimes think of our text thread with our friend Jack as like kind of like a barf bag of life and emotions, like when someone catches your puke and like puts your hair back and strokes you a little. It's really helpful.
It is helpful. Those shared histories, they make it so much easier for us to make mistakes gloriously, and to own them and to relish in failure somehow. I do think that character is built from not getting it right. And I think just what you're doing is giving people, Kate, just that permission to go, you're not supposed to be doing it right all the time. Like, you're just, sorry, but if you think all of your decisions are just going to be followed by a choir handing you a sandwich, it's just not going to happen.
I love that idea of I should write a book about that, a choir giving you a sandwich.
It's just like, you got it right. I mean, I'd rather have a sandwich than a fucking trophy any day. Like, they should give people, I don't want a plaque. Like my friend Ed Turdy said, you can't eat a plaque. How am I fucking supposed to eat a plaque? But you should be so proud of this book. And I'm so glad that you guys had some time to talk with us today. And we are going to put all the information for this in the show notes. And we'll just be here cheering you guys on. I love that, you were speaking to Sarah Polley on the phone one day and you're like, hey, how you doing? And, oh, yeah, I'm all right. And then something just struck you as, no, you're not all right. And 10 minutes later, you show up at her door and Sarah was like, I fucking felt like shit for fucking, I can't think. I love that we do have these friendships where we listen beyond the words that they're telling us. And maybe that's something that we can leave our listeners with, Kate, is just that a little bit of advice for those of us who are going through life with dear friends. How do we basically help each other? Is that too vague, or is there something that you can answer? Okay.
No, that's a beautiful question, because actually there's a simple answer that we can all do. You don't have to be a therapist. That deep listening, that's 90% of it, right? What we need to feel safe and seen and understood is to be heard. Imagine if you can't make yourself heard. Imagine you're like a little kid and you're like, I think I smell smoke, and you're yelling and nobody's listening to you. Just imagine how scary that feels.
Yeah.
So if you think, if I can give my presence to my friend and if I can just listen, I don't even have to say much. I just like, okay, tell me more. That sounds hard. If we can do that, that's everything, right? So if there's somebody in your life who's having a hard time, please just go listen to them and you're going to make a powerful difference.
Well, we're going to leave it there. Kate Robson, Sarah Polley, thank you so much. Congratulations again on your beautiful book, Something to Hold On To. It's an audiobook as well. And Sarah Polley saying, go listen to that. It's a great way to take in this information and probably a great way to chill out at the end of the day. And you can open it anywhere. I call those bathroom books. Any poo, any pee. It doesn't have to be a long drawn out thing. You sit down on the toilet. I mean, how many times I've had a ring around my butt by sitting and reading books? Do you know what I mean? I'm just being honest here. I'm there. I'm comfortable. I've done my business. And now I've opened Kate Robson's book up and I'm like, this is going to help me for today. It's quiet in here. I'm comfortable. I have a cool breeze on my undercarriage. This is a perfect place.
Thank you for this image. I'm going to carry this image with me.
But you know what I mean? You don't have to. It's like you said, it's not linear. Open it anywhere like a tarot deck and go, fucking universe, talk to me today. What do I need? And I think little snippets like that are as helpful in our lives as, Googling something and searching for something specific. It's not always something specific. Sometimes it's just, I need a morsel of encouragement. I don't even know what I need. So anyway, thank you for that. We're going to get through this one pee at a time. I'm telling you.
Amazing. I'm really looking forward to you doing a Zsa Zsa Gabor full eye contact version of the Karen Carpenter song to close out the episode.
It's happening.
Sarah Polley, anything for you. I'm going to go get a cassette. I'm going to see what we find, and we are going to close today's episode with the worst
song you ever wrote. Yes.
One of the worst songs you've ever heard.
Cannot wait.
Thanks for being here today, you guys. Okay, stick around. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Okay, Sarah. As always, let's end the show with a couple of voice notes.
Okay, let's see what we've got today.
Hi, everyone at the Jann Arden podcast. Love your podcast. I was just listening to the one about being handy, and I was wondering how many people change the battery on their car key fobs on their own, period. I've always been afraid to do it, thinking I might somehow wreck it, snap something off. So I've paid the dealership to switch out the battery. But this year when it came up again, I thought, all right, I'm going to try this by myself. And I got it open fine, but then you got to snap the little battery out. And when I did that, the whole thing completely fell apart into there had to be 20 pieces.
Oh, shit.
And I thought, oh, crap, what have I done? So I opened up the second one carefully and used it as a guide, and I managed to get it back together. I was sweating buckets, but I did get it back together, thank goodness. But I thought, does anybody else have the same trouble that I do? Anyways.
I've never tried.
It was a fun podcast today. I'm Marie from just outside Prince Edward County, which I know you're familiar with. I'm the one who last year asked for your advice on what to do about the people in Tucson, Arizona, asking me how I felt about becoming the 51st state.
51st state. I
Update
remember
on
that.
We sold our place. We didn't go back. We sold it. We closed on Tuesday. And
Wow.
it feels good to do our tiny little part to make a statement. And who would want to be down there anyways? Anyways, continue the great
Exactly.
work. Always look forward to each week's podcast. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks
Thank
for the
you
update.
so much.
That's awesome.
And yeah,
Congrats on the sale.
talk about and doing your little part. It's important. And they obviously just didn't want to have neighbors kind of making fun of them. Oh, you're going to be the 51st state. Like, anyway.
Go read
How
the
would they
Epstein
like it?
files, and then let's talk about the 51st state.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for your note. And congratulations. I would not have the gumption to replace a battery on my fob. I have a hard time replacing the battery on my little those AirTags. Like, I've done that a couple of times, and it takes me 10 minutes to get them open. I feel like I'm fucking shucking oysters.
And on that note,
Okay.
what are we talking about in Patreon today?
Listen, we went to I got to talk to you about the thermal spa, the Sky Lagoon in Iceland. I got to talk to you about it. I've got to get people there. I've got to it's an unbelievable experience. And every time I do it, I can't believe it. But anyway.
I also want to hear about Sarah's Wyerton debut.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We'll see you over
And-
there.
Yeah, we'll see you over there. But we're always ready to talk about anything over there. I'm going to get some shit out of these girls today. I'm going to hit them with some hard-hitting personal questions. You just wait. Come on over. Come on, jump over that paywall, folks. We'll see you there. Thanks for listening to the Jann Arden podcast. Sarah Burke, Caitlin Green, as always. Toodly-doo.
No